My dear students, today is a great day to learn something new. Welcome to my class. Let me introduce myself. My name is Mila Tomиć and I will be your English teacher today. So, let's start. Now tell me, do you remember the game Simon Says? Yes, that's right. It's an easy action game. You just follow the teacher's instructions and only when you hear Simon says, you do that action. For example, clap your hands and touch your head, etc., etc. The point is to stay in the game as long as possible. These instructions I mentioned are examples of requests and commands. Today's topic is reported speech. Reported speech is very important for you and it's very easy to understand. So don't worry. We use it when we want to repeat what someone has said. Tema našeg današnjeg časa je neupravni govor. Koristimo ga kada želimo da prepričamo tuđe reči. Let's continue. As you can see, in these speech bubbles, children and people are talking, and these are the examples of reported speech. We've got statements, requests, and commands. And at the end of this lesson, I certainly hope that you will be able to recognize and report requests, commands, and suggestions. So let's get started. There are two types of speech, and we must make a difference between them. Direct speech and indirect or reported speech. Direct and indirect speech can be a source of confusion, a little bit confusing for English learners. Let's first define the terms, then look at how to talk about what someone said and how to convert speech from direct to indirect. The most common students' question is why or how do we use reported speech in English language? Well, we use it to report or to write down what somebody has said. If somebody has told you something, this is going to be a quote. That means you copy the person's words exactly. You have to be really careful not to change their words. Sometimes someone says a sentence. Later, maybe we want to tell someone else what the first person said. Here is one example of direct speech. We've got reporting clause, he said, and then we've got direct speech. Let's go to the cinema. You can see inverted commas here or quotation marks and a comma as well. There will be some changes when we want to report into indirect speech. So let's continue. Direct speech is speaker's exact words. We need to learn how to transform direct speech into indirect speech. Let's see one example. The teacher said, "Please keep the noise down." And in the indirect speech, it would be, the teacher told us to keep the noise down. You can see when we want to report the teacher's words, the quotation marks are omitted, and there are some other changes that we will see. Let's go on. If we want to report what another person has said, we do not use the speaker's exact words, direct speech, but reported or indirect speech. The quotation marks and the colon are omitted. There are some other changes, like pronouns and possessive adjectives changes. Here is an example. The sentence in direct speech. Dad said, "Do your homework." And when we want to report Dad's words, in reported speech, we've got, "Dad told me to do my homework." As you can see, the quotation marks are gone in reported speech. We put here, instead of said, we put told me, and do became to do in reported speech, and one more change, the possessive adjective your became my. So we've got the sentence that told me to do my homework. And as you can see, here are some pronouns and possessive adjectives changes. You can use your mobile phone and take a photo. The best way to see these changes from direct to reported speech is in examples. Let's continue. In this lesson, we are going to focus on reporting commands, requests, and suggestions. U ovoj lekciji ćemo se najviše posvetiti, odnosno najviše pažnje ćemo posvetiti naredbama, zahtevima i predlozima. So let's begin. It's going to be easy, I promise you that. Now, remember this. When we report requests and commands, there is no need to worry about tense. We use the infinitive. As you can see, infinitive is a key word. We don't change the tense, so it is very important to remember. Now, note the difference between these sentences. Commands. Let's see what the commands are. Commands are when somebody tells or orders you to do something. For example, they told us to go away. Requests are when somebody asks you to do something, usually in a polite way, usually politely. He asked me to look after his cat. And the last ones are suggestions. Suggestions are when somebody gives you advice or suggests something. Here is an example. She suggests I should go to the doctor. A request is when somebody asks you to do something, usually politely. The models can and could are used here. For example, she said, "Could you close the door, please?" As you can see, the word please appears in direct speech and it is not used in reported speech. And when we want to report a request, we usually use the verbs tell or ask. There are some other verbs to report requests as well. They are order, command, beg, ask, and warn. When we want to report positive requests, we use the reporting verb tell or ask plus to infinitive. As I told you already, there is no need to worry about tense. We use the infinitive. It's very easy. It's not difficult at all. Quotation marks are omitted. We don't need them anymore in indirect speech. Pay attention to pronouns. Let's see an example. Please close the door. And in the reported speech, the sentence would be, he asked me to close the door. Yes, that's right. When we talk about reporting verbs, as you can see in these bubbles, can be both in present and past tenses, with no influence on the reported speech construction. As you can see, we can use tells, asked, suggests, told, says, orders, or for example, warns, with no influence on speech, on reported speech constructions. We use the infinitive as we mentioned. Look at the example. Open the door. What? He told you to open the door. Open became to open. And that's it. Now, dear students, it's your turn to practice. You can write these examples on your paper or you can use your mobile phone to take a photo. Let's check your knowledge. Let's report requests. Here are some examples for you. The first example. Could you please be quiet? Okay, it's your turn to practice. I'll wait for you. Take your time and think carefully about this example. Yes, that's right. I'm sure you know this example. She asks me to be quiet. Just put this be quiet into to be, and that's it. Can we continue now? Let's see the next example. Take your bag to the classroom. I'll wait for you for a few seconds to do this example. You can use any reporting verb you like. Yes, great job. He ordered me to take my bag to the classroom. Great. And the last one. The last one is the easiest one. Stop the music. Yes, perfect. She tells me to stop the music. Okay, let's go on. Now, pay attention to this example. Don't eat in class. What? He told you not to eat in class. This was an example of negative request. When we want to report negative requests, praktično zabrane, we use the reporting verb plus not plus to infinitive. Yes, that's right. The first example. Don't write on the board. As you can see, we use the reporting verb plus not, don't forget not, plus to infinitive. Let's report this sentence. He told me not to write on the board. Don't became not to. The next example. Don't tell anyone. I'll wait for you to try to do this sentence, to try to report this sentence into indirect speech. I'm sure you know that. I'm sure it's easy for you. Yes, good job. She told me not to tell anyone. Great. Now, more examples to practice. Open the door. He ordered me to open the door. Don't answer the phone. She told me not to answer the phone. Don't be back late. He ordered me not to be back late. Now pay attention to reported commands. When we want to report commands, we use the reporting verbs. Tell, ask, insist, order, or warn. When we want to report positive commands, we also use the same story as in requests. The verb plus pronoun plus to infinitive. Here is one example for you. Dad told me to tidy my room. When we report negative commands, we use. What do you think? Yes, that's right. The verb plus pronoun plus not, because it is negative command, plus to infinitive. Here is an example for you. The teacher told me not to talk to my friend. As you can see, we also use the infinitive as in requests. Just change the pronoun or possessive adjectives where it's necessary. Now, your turn to practice. let's report comments. You can write these examples on your paper or on your notebook, or take a photo with your mobile phone. Here are 4 examples for you in direct speech. And I will try to be silent in order that you can check your knowledge and to do these examples. So, let's report comments. The first example, check your emails. The next one, write a text message. The third one, don't shout in the classroom. And the last one, help Peter's sister. Think carefully and do these examples. Well done, students. Let's check the examples. As you can see, it wasn't difficult. Am I right? Okay, let's check it. Check your emails. She tells me to check my emails. You just put here to check. This your turned into my. Write a text message. He told me to write a text message. Yes, that's right. Now, negative comment. Don't shout in the classroom. They warned us not to shout in the classroom. Instead of don't, we've got not to shout in the classroom. And help Peter's sister. Linda asked me to help Peter's sister. That was the easiest one, don't you think? Yes, perfect. Now we must remember something. We've got reporting verbs, ask and tell. Please memorize that ask is used for requests. We use ask for requests. And tell is used for commands. We use tell for commands. Here are 3 examples for you. Open your student book, please. The teacher asked us to open our student book. Ask because it is request. Don't use your cell phone in the classroom. The teacher told Julia not to use her cell phone in the classroom. Pay attention to this her because it is Julia. You can see here that tell is used for a command. And the last one. Don't chew gum in the classroom, please. The teacher asked Juan not to chew gum in the classroom. Ask because it's a request. Now let's focus to reported suggestions. When we want to report a suggestion, we usually use the verbs suggest or proposed. Other verbs to report are insist, advise, or recommend. There are many ways to express a suggestion or advice. Let's check them. Let's have lunch. It's one of them. Or, how about having lunch? Or you can say as well, shall we have lunch? When we want to report suggestions, we use the reporting verb plus that, or we can use should, modal verb should. Note or pay attention that after suggest, we can use gerund as well, verb plus ing. Here is an example. Let's have lunch. We can report it in this way. She suggested that we have lunch. Or you can say as well, she suggested that we should have lunch. Or you can say, he suggested having lunch. Yes, that's right. And now the boring part. Your turn to practice. Let's check your knowledge. Our task is to report suggestions. You can write the answers on your paper or you can take a photo. And let's do this together. Here are some examples for you. Your turn is to try to report suggestions into indirect speech. I'll wait for you. Take your time. Let's see the first one. Why don't you get a mechanic to look at the car? The second one. Let's study in the library. And the last one. Why don't you go to the dentist? Think carefully and then we will check it. And now, let's check your knowledge. I'm sure you did a great job. Let's pay attention to suggestions. Yes, that's right. It's very easy. Why don't you get a mechanic to look at the car? She suggests that I should get a mechanic to look at the car. Perfect. Let's study in the library. They suggest that we study in the library or that we should study in the library. And why don't you go to the dentist? She suggested that I should go to the dentist. Great. Thank you. Now, let's do the short quiz. It would be very easy. Let me explain you. You've got the first example. You should get a lawyer. My friend blank me to get a lawyer. Your task is to guess the verb, to put the appropriate verb in this blank. I'll wait for you for a little bit. So, you should get a lawyer. What is the most appropriate verb here? Yes, that's right. My friend advised me to get a lawyer because this sentence, you should get a lawyer, is a sort of suggestion or advice. Great. The second example, the doctor advised his patient to have some rest. What is it? What do you think? The doctor advised his patient to have some rest. Is it a command or a suggestion or maybe a request? What is your opinion? Tell me. Yes, it's a suggestion. Okay, because we've got reporting verb advised and the doctor advised his patient to have some rest. Yes, that's right. The third example. Why don't we relax? She blank relaxing. Similar to this first example. What do you think? What is the most appropriate verb here? Why don't we relax? She blank relaxing. Yes, I'm sure you know this. Suggested, yes, that's right, because it's a sort of suggestion or advice. Why don't we relax? She suggested relaxing. And the last one, the easiest one, shut the door. What is it? Is it a command or a request or a suggestion? Yes, that's right. It's a command. Shut the door is a command. Great. And at the end of our class, I'm going to give you homework now, your homework. You've got here, as you can see, one reported sentence. My parents told me, or my parents suggested. You can take a photo or write examples in your notebook. Here are some examples for you. The first example, answer the phone, please. Your task is to report it, to turn it into reported speech. So, answer the phone, please. The next, don't be back late. Familiar, huh? The third one, keep your room clean. The fourth one, turn the music down. The fifth one, please don't interrupt me. And the last one, could you please be quiet? Okay, your task is to try to report these sentences. And, my dear students, thank you for watching. And my message for you is great job. Have a nice day.